Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Charles Morgan. I am council member elect to be sworn in on January 5th at 4 p.m. at the depot. I'm here at my first town hall meeting. I've never hosted a town hall meeting. Heck, I've never done this before at all, period. So all this is new to me. What I would like to do is just meet more people, find out what their concerns are, and I think we've got an action-packed day already scheduled, by the way it sounds. I know Ms. Moderator, so to speak, here does have some things she'd like to cover, and we do have another gentleman from the community here as well. So, again, I've never done this before. Maybe I should just pick up a chair and sit down amongst everybody. No, I mean, that's all I know to do.
Well, I'm glad that you are here today, frankly.
Yes, we all are. Yeah.
I mean, I want to be available to people, and I want to help people with their grievances. I mean, that's why I ran. People ask me to run because they know I'll sit down and I'll listen and try to find solutions to problems, whatever they may be. You know, I know it sounds like we've got a fairly complex one with the gentleman that's here today. And I don't like what I'm hearing. I think that makes my town sound bad. So I think there's some things that need to be looked into 100%. Can I personally fix them? Maybe not, because I don't know the complexities of where he is and what he's got going on at this time. So, you know, some hot topics. I know that last council meeting and planning commission meeting was annexation. Let plenty of people know now for a month we're having this, and I don't see anybody here for annexation today. You know, I want to be an open book, and you know, quite frankly, I want to hear what Mr. Franklin Jones has to say.
Regarding annexation, could I ask?
Go ahead.
Are you willing to look at the financial aspect of whether it's financially profitable to the city?
I think that needs to be a consideration, simply because, again, the city should be running more like a business. If we're going to lose money by annexing somebody in, total money, because there's multiple income streams to look at when it comes to annexation. You've got the tax benefit to the city, but you also have the water rate. There's other royalties that can be charged by the city to different providers like Blue Ridge Electric and other providers that are there. So I do think we should look at it at the total net loss or net gain, and that would be, to me, a better guiding factor on how we annex people in. If it's a net loss, it makes no sense. If we lose, we lose. If we gain, then that's something to look at. And it's on a case-by-case basis.
Could I go ahead with a few questions?
That's fine.
Okay.
Just go slow, because I'm...
Okay. All right. At one time, we were charged for meters, automatic meter reading. The fees that the city agreed that they took that money in error and that they would refund it to the individual accounts that paid in. But from what I understand, I'm not quoting, but Bronson said that he couldn't figure it out. So nobody ever received a refund from those meter fees.
Let me ask you a follow-up question on this, because I'm taking some notes.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
Roughly how long ago was this? 2 years ago? 5 years ago?
Probably 4.
I moved here 4 years ago. It was about then.
About 4 years ago.
Okay.
But we never got any money refunded to the public or
So
to the
Bronson
accounts.
was here.
He was here.
Okay, so it's at least within his tenure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When they looked a couple million, like 2 million, they were figuring.
Well, nothing ever came back to the individuals. I'd have to go and do some more research to give you more facts, but I just would like it to be on the table to be looked at.
The more information you can supply me, the better.
Sure.
Because that reduces the investigative time.
Okay.
That we have to go into some of this.
Right.
Anything you can supply, I'd love to have.
Okay.
And we'll also, I'll supply that to staff and say, we need to look into this. Where do we stand? What's going on with this? Because
Okay.
simply, if it was a promise that was made something the city said they were gonna do that should have been done. And so if it wasn't done, we need to look and say, why?
It just suddenly was not discussed any longer, so,
There's sometimes things
yeah,
get conveniently forgotten.
I understand.
Say something.
Oh,
Charlie Morgan, all these things have come before his time.
mm-hmm,
And really what he is trying to do is represent
The people, I mean,
the people and he's asking questions, but he's in no way responsible for anything.
Oh,
that's
no,
gone.
no.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
well, I know
He's
there's,
just
I know
trying to
there's
help our
issues.
city.
I know there's issues that people brought up in the past that maybe it's fallen on their ears, but we've got a new councilman. And I do think we've got a council that's gonna be more engaged than previous councils. At least this guy's gonna be as engaged as I can be, because it's not my seat.
It's all.
You know, I'm not being sworn into a seat for Charles Morgan, I'm being sworn in for the city of Westminster.
Mhm.
I don't represent myself, I represent the people that live inside the city limits. And so that's what I want to do. So we'll follow up on that.
okay,
Okay.
that'd be great. I'll get some more information
Okay,
to
please
you.
do. Please do.
One thing I'd ask you to take a look at is, I've not heard recently what the city has cash on hand. Typically, small cities would have a year or more cash on hand. The last time I heard it discussed, we had about 24 days of cash on hand. So whatever's being spent, nothing's being set aside. And that was concerning to me, that we don't have enough money to operate as a city if something should befall us.
And that's a very legitimate question about the finances, short and long-term viability of our town. So I've got that down, cash and reserves.
Right. Is it concerning that most of the employees of the city are not city residents? Is that anything that could be, in other words, they don't have a vested interest in performing?
You go to the other door. Mm-hmm. I think that, and I hate to say the thing, trying to say we have two classifications of employees, but I think that the senior administrators of the town that make policy and enforce policy should live in the town in which they preside over.
Yes.
Does the guy picking up our trash, or the guy that the firemen necessarily have to live in town? I don't think so.
Right. I understand.
But I do think the people that make policy and enforce that policy need to live within the jurisdiction which they create the policy and they enforce it. Because if it's so bad you don't want to live here, then it ain't the right thing to do. Am I right or wrong, Frank?
You are absolutely right, sir. I 100% agree.
We're gonna be friends for this, I promise.
We're gonna meet on a consensus basis. I'm sure everything will be fine.
Is it okay for me to give my input?
I've never done one of these before, so my whole thing is, I don't care. As long as we've got some sort of order, we're not all talking at once. I have no problem if we have a round robin conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I love Westminster, South Carolina. I wasn't born here, I chose to live here. And I have lived here 46 almost years. And I've lived all over the eastern part of the United States, and I wouldn't be happy anywhere else. I love the town. I know we got problems. We have problems everywhere within schools, churches, towns, people, the world. But I'm impressed with everybody's desire to get it right. And as long as I'm just glad you're feeling better than when I walked in the door.
Oh, I'm still upset. Don't get me wrong.
And I think he's got some very valid complaints. I think he does.
Yeah, I've served time and committed no crime.
Yeah, well, I understand that, I just don't jump my friend here.
So listen, I signed up for this work. I signed up volunteer. So I know there's gonna be some people that aren't happy in this town.
But you're trying to get to the
Exactly,
bottom.
and that's what I wanna get to. I wanna get to the problem, even the problem. I mean, I know you've got a whole list of stuff. You got a whole notebook. How many pages have we
No,
got?
just one page. PMPA.
That's, PMPA is complicated because I'm learning more and more and more about PMPA. Am I a fan?
Is there,
Not necessarily a fan.
what's
The
the
water.
acronym?
The water.
PMPA is the power company. Piedmont Municipal Power Association.
Yes.
Westminster Utility, is that what we call it?
Yeah,
That'd be-
yeah, but it's just the electrical.
Electric,
company.
yeah.
It's part of the nuclear reactor our town owns up in the Catawba plant outside Charlotte. We own we own 5.1 monthly mega, I think it's 5.1 monthly megawatt capacity.
In North Carolina.
Yeah. And the good news is,
Don't buy this from Duke.
Well, no, we actually own part of a reactor. The city of Westminster owns, well, it's not even that much. I mean, it's a small portion. There's like 9 or 11 other towns that have bought into this. This was 40 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds
And,
interesting.
well, and the thing is that the contract came up for renewal and the city council renewed it. And, I was there for that meeting and I was lucky I was there because I was able to see the audio or hear the audio and see the visual part of the presentation. Because currently the only thing we get is audio. Because that's all they do is record, which I would like to live stream or whatever.
Live
I
stream.
want to stream, I have, that's why I'm
Trying to get audio for
I'm
years.
fine with it.
Yep.
I'm fine. That's what I signed up for. But we didn't even get a competing bid, for our power. Now, so we had no choice. It was PMPA or really nothing. There was a chance we could have signed it over, and this is, I'm not on council, so I'm trying to put pieces of information I hear together. There was a chance that we could have turned it over to Blue Ridge Electric, but get on social media now and look at the scale of Blue Ridge Electric's power with their new rate system that they're utilizing. So, are we better or worse? Time's going to tell. Time will tell if we made the right decision or not. Unfortunately, we can't get out of that decision. We are where we are.
Right.
And we're stuck for the next, 60 years. Because there's 10 years left roughly 10 years left on the current contract. And, then we sign another 50. Yes, sir, Frank.
May I also reiterate that, I'm from the industry. I've worked at Duke and a couple other places, PSE&G, I don't know if y'all heard of it, it's up in Jersey. But anyways, when I moved here, I noticed transformers, pole top transformers, just like going pop everywhere, and we'd be blaming squirrels or whatever.
It's true.
I've come to find out that somebody bought a whole bunch of used transformers from Duke Energy, a certain company, and somehow they're all hanging on these poles. So I don't know where we're procuring all of this distribution network equipment, but it seems to be very
Suspect?
in poor condition. I've noticed 3-phase transformers that, you can look, the 3 trash cans instead of 1 up on the pole. Well, some of them are different sizes. That's not good. You're
Can I
supposed to
ask you a question though?
Yes, ma'am.
These statistics and information you're introducing today, are they hearsay? Have you got something on paper that you could show people?
I can actually agree with some of what he's saying.
I mean,
For example, our distribution system, my father was retired from Blue Ridge, okay? And unfortunately, I worked there for a couple of years part-time, and he made me memorize the spec book on how to frame certain poles.
Very good.
Well, yeah, it's useless knowledge now. But when I ride through town and you've got a pole that's got a big burn mark in it where one of the phases has come down, burnt the pole, and you've just got to crossarm tacked above and below it. It's a storm repair, but it's been there for years. So in front of my house, we've got 100-year-old copper wire. When the wind blows strong enough, it just falls. And they've replaced it or repaired it so many times, but the old copper wire's still there. So there's still more things like Franklin is saying. We do have some distribution issues on our system that needs to be addressed. Has it gotten better since I've been here? A little. But the other day, it flashed, the power flash. We heard bam, off, on. I mean, while it came back on,
That's probably a pole top clutch.
yeah, probably.
A relay.
That may be the squirrel. That may be the squirrel or something.
Sometimes they bang them to knock the branch back off the line. It's
And
an
so
intentional
it
thing.
came back on, but it was an inconvenience because I was working and lost my Wi-Fi, and I was in the middle of something. But I think it has gotten a little better, but I do think there's still steps we need to take forward. But also getting back to your PMPA, because of how much we use, we only use about 2.1 to 2.3 of the monthly megawatts. We're able to sell what we don't use, which does help us in the end. I know people say our power's high, and I get it, because I live here in town too. But at the same time, what would it be if we didn't even have that to sell? Yes, sir.
As far as delivery of this power from North Carolina to Westminster, are we paying transmission fees and
I don't
other
know.
kinds of fees to get the power from North Carolina
That's a
to
good
here?
question.
Because Duke ain't moving nothing for free.
That's a good point.
No, that's legitimate.
So, I mean, I would think with all the AI coming, pretty soon, memory for computers is so unaffordable right now that home computers are going away. They don't want us computing at home. Probably somebody makes videos and that noise, and so they're getting rid of all them computers, and they're gonna have it all on an AI and a cloud, right? And that means a data center. So when we talk about this owning of a percentage of a reactor, I'm thinking that's an easy thing to sell, and you can probably sell it for a profit to an AI data center or something and get on out of that bad deal. That's just what I'm thinking. But
And
that's just
there may be a chance at some point, I don't know. But again, unfortunately, our usages or what we own is so small. We're not even.
The
We're not
Blue
even
Ridge
attracted.
would probably love to just come on in
We're not
and give us a
attracted.
big old
It's
hug.
not even enough. It's not even enough for a data center, they say. And part of the meeting with the PMPA that they were doing, I want to say, and I have to really, this is off memory, but I want to say that they estimated about 15 megawatt usage out of the data center, and we only have a third of that. And maybe we can go in with some other people and sell it and get out from under it. That could be possible. I mean, that's a possibility, and we wrote it out.
Well, in line with the utilities, there is a utility fund, and the commitment a few years back for the city to draw money out of that fund, they committed to taking only 5%. But that was, in the mayor's words, a suggested rate. Oftentimes it was closer to 10%. So what I'm saying is that the utilities that they sell for a great profit is being used as a profit center for the city to fund other things that have nothing to do with utilities. In my understanding of the way that they originally approached the PMPA was to make it more affordable and better service and better repairs or upgrades as a service to the city's residents, but not as a profit center to the city to draw from whatever they wish to. I mean, the rates I know in the past, they raised the rates saying that PMPA raised the rates, but they didn't. The city wanted more money in the coffers, so they said that the rates were higher, but it wasn't true.
One thing I've noticed small towns are notorious for, are having these kind of funds, and then they raid them. Look at
Exactly.
look at what's going on in Walhalla right now. That money they've used is, unfortunately, a lot of it's from their water budget.
One water pump.
And you know, it gets down to, are we using that to bridge certain gaps in our budget? I mean, is that what we're using that for? And what should they be used for?
Well, I would just like for you to take a look at that. If
there is profit, it should be going back into the system.
Right,
Because
not into the city's coffers to
Our system needs.
be spent on pet projects.
Well, you know, we've had issues around the neighborhood with
Mhm.
water. We've got water, that money's being generated from water, for water, it should be spent on water.
Well, we have, for example, a home on Gaston Circle. They literally have had repairs in their yard, I bet 20 times in the last 6-7 years, in the same place.
Is that
By the
place that
same
broke
crews.
A month ago?
Yes, it's broken all the time, and I do not understand. They keep saying that they were going to repair it, replace it, but they never did. I guess they ran more to go to the ballpark out there, but they never bothered to take a left and go down Gaston and fix what's been broken for many, many years. I can't imagine that they couldn't have replaced that line many times over for what it's cost them to repair it.
Same thing with the electrical in front of my house. You know, how many overtime hours does it take to equal a new line?
Exactly.
You know,
I don't know that anyone's looking at that because it's not happening. So maybe it's a new approach, you know.
I will say that we're lucky to have Scott Paris on board from Walhalla. I'm familiar with Scott from Walhalla. And I think he's just now really beginning to get the full grasp of both our water and sewer systems and our electrical distribution system. I think he's an asset that we have. We just have to do the budget. Budget's coming up. We'll be working on the budget starting pretty soon, right off. Stuff like that needs to be included in the budget. We need to be preparing so much. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think it's wise to have like a plumber, like messing with electricity, and an electrician messing with the plumbing? You know what I'm saying? You got one guy doing the whole show there. You know, waterworks is a special thing, and electricity is a special thing, and you're kind of, it seems like you're putting a jack of all trades and in charge of stuff that just might not be 100% competent, like in the water end or the electric end. Maybe they have a strong point, but
I know him from his days with Walhalla. At one time, 5 or 6 years ago, he said there was about $10 million worth of repairs and upgrades that needed to be done in Walhalla. They kicked it down. They kicked it down the curb. They kicked it down. Just get right on going. And now they're in a mess. We can't afford, Westminster cannot afford a catastrophic event like that. I mean, we can't afford it. So we've got to be able to plan for these things and taking the revenues and creating a reserve fund for our utilities if they don't have one already. It needs to happen because the price of stuff's not getting any cheaper. It's only getting more expensive. So we need to plan on this stuff.
Are you considering increasing revenues by, say, increasing the number of citations you guys hand out? Because
I don't think citations. Now my brother's in law enforcement in Spartanburg County, and I've learned this philosophy from him. He's not there to raise money for the municipality or the county. His job is to enforce the law, but it's not to be a money maker. And our law enforcement shouldn't be a money maker for a town. It should be here to enforce the laws that are on the books, but not to use those laws to generate revenue.
And to help the citizens.
Well, to help the citizens, yes, thank you. But you know, as far as just writing tickets for money, I don't agree with that.
You know, that's a line item in the next budget that's online. You can actually see.
I can't see it. I'm forbidden from.
Oh, well, I'll be happy to.
Facebook.
I'll be happy to print that page for you and give it to you.
Well, it'd be nice if I could have access. Like, you know, I got my tax bill here. It's well over $1,000 again this year. And I can't vote. You know, I can't access any information. So if there's like, you know, something bad with the water and y'all post something on Facebook, guess who's not going to see it? You know, you put a boil order out. I don't get it because I'm blocked.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so blocked that I'm not even allowed to attend city council meetings. If I may, right quick, this letter is from Kevin Bronson dated September 10th, 2024. It was faxed to the Westminster Court and handed to me by the clerk of court right up the street there. And while Mr. Derrick was sitting in the back room, I reckon, polishing his robe or something. But this letter was given to me right after I tried to pay my power bill, and they wouldn't. Kevin came filming me, and the cops came up to the building, told me I'd be arrested if I tried to get in there again.
Well, could I ask, how do you think that he can help you? How can he help you resolve some of these things?
Well, he can put forth the idea of maybe getting rid of Kevin Bronson. But let me just read this little letter here and see if y'all think it's in any way American or constitutional. And this is directly before I got sent to Prisma for an involuntary psychological evaluation. Right? And, you know, by Kevin Bronson signed the paperwork, you know, for that involuntary psychological evaluation. And that involuntary bill is for $5,443.42. So some judge that we can't produce the paperwork for somehow. So I was in the custody of the sheriff's department by way of Kevin Bronson and sent to an involuntary psychological evaluation for 3 days against my will at Prisma Hospital, where they locked me in the emergency room, deprived me of any sensory input, wouldn't even let me go outside. I mean, you know, Geneva Convention lets a prisoner go out at least once a day, right? But that's fine, you know, that was my psychological evaluation. And this was all for him filming me waving at people. Right? That was breach of peace. That was his idea of breach of peace. And on September 10, 2024, he wrote a letter to Franklin Jones at 107 James Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Y'all know the zip. And it says, this letter is to place you on notice that there is to be no contact made by you in person, by telephone, mail, email, or other electronic means. Open paren, text, comma, IM, comma, pager, comma, fax, comma, weblog, or social media, close paren, with any City of Westminster staff or elected officials. Any contact made after this notification will be considered harassment, and a report will be filed with the proper law enforcement agencies for an investigation of possible criminal charges and or a restraining order. And that's his little signature right there, Kevin Bronson. Right? Kevin Bronson, city administrator. And he's proud to do this because, and I need to give this to you, sir. I got copies because this is what I really need for you to look up. 2 months after moving here, buying a house for cash money. So, right, I paid cash for my house. There's no mortgage. I just bought the house, right? I'm old, I'm sick, got cancer, dying, right? But, you know, it's beside the point. So I buy the dang house, and 2 months later, you know, somebody messed up, I guess, up at the city hall, and they didn't have my records correct. So I'm going online, you know, I'm paying everybody, paying the gas bill, the new cable bill, all these new bills, because I got a new house, right? Money flying everywhere. So I'm paying the gas and electric online. It was from the older payment system before we have to pay 3% just for the privilege of using our card and making it easy on everybody, right? It was the previous payment system. Well, apparently, the payment system was acting like it was taking my money, right? But it wasn't, I guess, transferring it to the city. And the system wasn't telling me I didn't pay any money. I wasn't getting any shut-off notices, or nobody from the city even bothered to come by my house, right? And, you know, my account's only 2 months old. So from that, they came one morning, whatever the date is on that ticket, which is the traditional day of we shut them off and then turn them back on when they pay it. You know, they all meet up at the office up there. They're all gung-ho because, you know, they're going to get them poor people and we're going to turn them off. You know, that kind of thing, right? So they come and turn off my water, and I didn't even know it was turned off. You know, I'm using the bathroom in the morning, and guess what? I go to flush, and nothing happens. So I go out to the front yard, and I see a little pin in there, and they locked my meter shut. They didn't pull the electric meter. They just turned my water off and ran away. Didn't put a sign on the door, nothing. Didn't knock. Right? Real friendly town. And so I go up. You know, it's getting about 9 o'clock, so I go on up there to the police station, well, the city hall, and then Chief Jones. You know, my name's Jones, and we both kind of, I don't know, he could be my third cousin. I mean, my family is kind of special in this kind of way, so I'm familiar with what's going on here. So Chief Jones walks me into where I pay my bill next door at the city hall there, and he's watching me pay my bill. I'm writing a check, and it's all ATM or whatever, automatic check machine. So they take my check and they run it through. So the money's there. At that point in the morning, I owe Westminster this much money. Now, you got a ticket there for meter tampering. There's a time on that ticket. Well, they come to my house, and I'd already cut off the dang pin because I'd been waiting 7 hours to flush my toilet. Get a drink. It's in the middle of the pandemic, right? Y'all turned my water off. Not you specifically, sir, but the city did. So eventually, the guy from the city comes to turn the water back on, right? And so I'm telling him, nah, go on, just get out of here, get off my property, I don't want nothing to do with it. Water's already on. So he calls me a deadbeat, drives to the end of the street, calls the cops. Every cop in town shows up. I got pictures of it. I can post them online, but no one will see them because y'all got me blocked everywhere. You know, there's Chief Jones, there's everybody, and they write me tickets for littering and meter tampering. They were in my yard to turn my water back on 2 months after I bought the house. So I don't know how much investigative whatever hocus pocus they did to determine that I was somehow tampering with my meter. And in fact, the Itron water meter is a tamperless meter. You can't tamper it. You simply cannot tamper with this meter. You can bypass it, which is in essence meter tampering. But, you know, They didn't come to my yard and see a whole bunch of stuff dug up and a pipe going around the meter. No. Chief Jones just wrote me a ticket because he wanted to, I guess, whatever. Because he seen some tag on the back of my truck, might have said Maryland maybe. I don't know. He just didn't like me for some reason. But there's no evidence, and what I'm telling you is, we don't need to get the court transcript to prove I was meter tampering, do we? Because
Well,
it's a utility, and that information should be right up there in the courthouse. In fact, I dare the city of Westminster to make an example out of me, right? If I'm the meter tamperer, let's show everybody in town how I did it. Because I need an award for bypassing or somehow tampering with the Itron tamper-proof water meter.
I'll see what I can find out. That's been,
It's been a while, and we've been hiding my transcript ever since then, which is kind of suspicious. Isn't it a public court document that you can't get? For me,
thinking about things that you can't get,
I don't know.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
FOIA. I requested in writing 2 different FOIAs. Kevin Bronson gave me back a written quote of $145. Freedom of Information Act request. So
it's a speed bump.
I paid the deposit, but when I went to pick it up, it was over $700. Now, I believe that the inflated price was to deter me from doing that in the future because I have to pay that out of my own pocket. I'm just an individual citizen. I'm retired, so I'm on a fixed income, and that I can show in writing. But that is something that I hope you can take a look at, maybe not my particular case, but just if that were to happen again, I know there's other people that would file FOIAs to get information about what's going on in the city, but the fees are outrageous.
I would like to see a cost structure and how that's determined.
Yeah.
Because to me, if it's public record, it should be publicly accessible.
Well, I would appreciate that if I made a request to go down and inspect anything in the city myself, that I should be able to see public records without having to file a FOIA. But that does not happen. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just something to think about when thinking about FOIA.
We'll look into it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Anderson Park.
They're raising money for it right now.
Well, there's been so many promises made of equipment for older folks, for the younger folks, but it's the same dreary, abused, old equipment that it's always been.
I really believe in this, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. People need to show up and tell them what they want.
Okay.
Except him, they won't let him show up.
Yeah. that wheel doesn't get any grease.
I'm taking that.
See, what the city is doing is actively discouraging any kind of communication.
Yes, they do.
They are blocking me specifically. They're charging you money, so they're putting barriers in place where average citizens cannot address their government or get any redress.
Well-
It's just rammed right down our throat, and that's the way it is.
Are you
Well-
saying you can't go to a council meeting and ask to be put on?
Not according to this letter, I can't. I will be subject to possible criminal charges and or a restraining order, and it will be considered harassment.
Can I ask you, how do you pay your bill if you can't contact them by mail?
Well, you see, that's the story of this letter, because they faxed it to the courthouse after they tried to arrest me. Well, I drove straight from City Hall to the courthouse, and I demanded the order that says I can't go to City Hall, and they could not produce it. What they did produce was they called Kevin Bronson, and he shot this down via fax, and they handed this to me. And I'm looking at this going, this isn't an order, and the clerk goes, yeah, I know.
What's
So
the
how do
date
you
on
pay your
that?
bill?
The date on this is September 10th, which is, about a week before they sent me to my involuntary psychological evaluation.
2024.
2024, yes ma'am, I'm sorry. There's been so much happen. I mean, I hadn't even gotten to how they attacked me through my dogs, but that's a different story.
So how do you pay your bill? And I'm just asking because we moved
I
here.
walk in, well, usually I just go to the box now.
Okay.
Because, I don't want Kevin Bronson to stroke out or nothing, me walking in there and paying my bill like a normal human being, so,
I'm in the box myself.
yeah, I'm a second-class citizen, I don't get a vote, right? I mean, even in slavery, we got votes, right? They 3/5 of the vote or something. I wasn't even able to vote because I'm no trespass at my polling location, right? And I'm supposed to gamble if Mikey Crenshaw's gonna lock me up after he beat and tasered me on my own front yard. And I went up to the courthouse 7 different times with my witness, Barry Brady, my neighbor who watched me get beaten and tasered. You know why I was getting beaten and tasered? Because my dogs were outside and they wanted to shoot them. So they figured if they started beating on me, my dogs would go berserk, and bang, right? That's what they were doing. But instead they just beat and tasered me, took me to the hospital, and that bill was, I don't know, it's $1,200. I could bring it up here too.
Wow.
Oh, it's probably in here too. But yeah, so I got beat and tasered by Mikey Crenshaw's guys. It's,
Were your dogs doing something to provoke the police or?
nah. They weren't on a leash. That seems to annoy the out of people. But, I mean, that's the attack point, right? They see the one small thing that, right? Like, if I spit my gum out on the sidewalk, that's probably bad. But if that ticket right there, glittering, the pen is that big. That's the litter. That's what they claim the litter is. I mean, go ask the mayor, go ask the cops. And they found it in my own yard. They charged me for littering a pen this big in my own yard next to the water meter I just turned on.
Well, he's gonna take a look, hopefully. Okay, next I had, Anderson Park, you're gonna look into what money's gonna be spent, what equipment's gonna get upgraded.
There's supposed to be another
Grant fund.
Okay. Yeah, I understand, but that's been promised for many years.
I think I heard they ran out of money when
The
they.
grant ran
Well,
out,
it was-
we get another grant.
It was a two-phase grant.
Yeah,
One was 1 year, one was the next year.
Yes.
It wasn't communicated.
What was the story of the money all going to Walhalla?
I don't know. I don't even worry about
That was-
that. They got their own problem.
Next question for me, getting close to the end of mine. Appreciate your time. The ballparks.
What about?
Why has no one ever looked at the payback on the ballparks?
The ballparks themselves, the construction is 100% paid for.
I understand.
No money's owed.
and you don't,
Go ahead.
you don't think it's a good thing to have those the new,
I don't think the city can afford the upkeep, maintenance.
they generate revenue. You realize that. They generate a great deal of revenue, plus they bring people into this town.
Right,
Because of the children.
I
I'm all
understand,
for
but the thing is, there's no place for those people to stay here. There's not many restaurants for them to choose from. It is not a very attractive place to come and stay for travel ball. I'm asking why there's never been an actual proposition of what monies can be expected, some kind
Did
of,
you go to the meetings when that thing was a dream. and
I'm asking
everybody
for a
was-
report, ma'am.
I'm
I'm
just saying,
asking for the
were you involved
figures.
in that, in the initial onset, when we got the blueprints and everybody that wanted to have a spot?
I'm not interested in the blueprints
Well,
or
that
any of
has
that.
something to do
I'm
with that.
interested in what it costs the city to maintain it versus what revenue will be generated, period.
I've not seen numbers, on any of that at this point.
I'm involved.
I do.
Well, I understand you're involved in it, and I agree that it's a good thing for the community, but if it doesn't pay for itself, it's not good, because it's going to cost the city, it's going to drain the city of more resources. And that's something that no one has ever looked at.
Well, I think the money that it generates from all these.
Well, do you know how much
different
money it generates?
things, I don't have
Okay,
it in my
then
head.
I'm
I-
asking for a report
I-
of what it generates.
have
That's
you
all.
talked to her?
I'll give you some answers.
Yeah, that's
Talked
it.
to her before about
Pardon?
Nobody has any
it?
true
They
data.
can't possibly yet.
No, there is no true data on it yet because the first game's not been played.
Right, but you have to,
But what has
you
been
don't
discussed-
know,
but what has been
when
discussed-
does a business make an investment if they don't know what their return on investment is? ROI.
Unfortunately, we're not talking about business, we're talking about the public money. And unfortunately, government does not spend money as frugally as the private citizen.
Right, but when you're making an investment of millions of dollars,
Now, here's the thing, the investment's already made, I can't tell you.
I understand.
Now, moving forward, it's gonna take, from what I have heard, 7 to 9 full-time employees to maintain the field. Okay, well, that's a lot of people, that's a lot of money. I mean, even if it's only $20,000 an employee, just pay, if you have 7, that's 240. And it's gonna have to be more than that in this labor market, or you're not gonna have people. Compensation wise, or as far as what it brings in, is gonna be determined on the events we can have. To my knowledge, at this point, nothing's been scheduled yet. What does that look like? Unfortunately, nobody knows. What it needs to look like is it needs to pay for itself.
Yeah.
If it does not, then the city residents are gonna have to subsidize recreation even more than they already do. Could that be $100 a month per household? It could be.
it won't be.
I mean.
'Cause people will be moving out.
It could be. I think it has the potential to be a good benefit for our town, but it's gotta be self-sufficient. I'm in private business. I don't get subsidies. Nobody's giving me money. I have to go out and I have to earn it. Herb has done a good job in the past with working with what he has. Now Mr. Poole has keys to a Cadillac, and it's time for Mr. Poole to really dig deep and figure out how he's gonna make money with this. Because it's gonna have to make money. If it doesn't make its own money, I'm not for continually raising people's millage rate to pay for it either. So. we need
Or
to
their
figure this
utility
out.
rates.
Now, if we have to raise fees for people outside the city to afford it, the registration fees, so be it. That's the benefit of living in the city, is lower fees. But it doesn't need to be, we don't need to be raising taxes on everybody here to pay for it. It needs to be a self-sufficient entity. Yes,
So
sir.
is this park designed in mind that it's not sustainable without just the fees from the parks and the fees from the people play, the registration?
That is my understanding, is that it's gonna take the travel ball stuff.
So we're gonna need to host people here and sell them stuff, sales tax, yada, yada, all that sort of.
But unfortunately, Westminster, we don't have the one motel.
Mhm.
So we lose out on the accommodations tax because we don't have the place for people
Yeah,
to
everybody can
stay.
stay in Seneca.
Generally, people eat close to their motel. They're not gonna eat in Westminster or drive from Seneca to eat at El Charro when there's 10 other Mexican restaurants in Seneca. So we lose out on the hospitality tax. So there are some things that, as a town, I think and even as council and even the entire administration that works there in that town, we're gonna have to recruit people to this town. We're gonna have to figure out a way to bring a restaurant or two to this town. And it's an uphill battle. because we've talked about the high cost of utilities here. We've talked about it a little bit already. We've talked about unfortunately, the moniker of Methminster. I mean, I sell real estate. I've had people come from out of state. Where do you not want to be? Methminster is their answer. How do you know that? You're here from Pennsylvania. Okay, social media. So we've got a lot. We've got an uphill battle. It can be done, but it's going to take us getting together more and more. And you're always invited, Franklin, to my town halls. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You will not be banned. I'm not banning you from my Facebook.
You know,
page.
I would think that I'm probably a lot of, because I'm upset, I'm obviously posting and telling people to stay away from this place. Because I don't want people to be subjected to what I have been subjected to. I care about my countrymen.
And I understand. And I care too. That's why I ran. Because there's things I don't like in town. There's things I think we can do better. And I think that you need to be able to exercise your right to vote. And I will continue to look into this even more once I
everything that's happened stems from me. Right? We just built a giant crap house on top of the meter tank.
And I'll look into this. I give you my word.
And I would like to comment about Kevin Bronson. I just think personally, I think the salary that he is paid is almost the same as the city of Clemson.
Uh-huh.
We're a city of 2,400 people. Clemson is around 18,000. I don't understand why we are
How he's getting 6 figures.
And one thing, even when I was campaigning, something I said I'd like to do is a complete workforce audit to look at our workforce needs, our pay structures. Are they too high? Are they too low? Do we need more people in utilities and less people in sanitation?
right.
Or how does that really shake out? And how can we jockey people around or hire additional people in certain departments if we need it? Because in the end, our government here is to work for us, the citizens, and so they need to be responsive to our needs. And we've got to work together as a community and as government to figure that out and how that looks and to keep people involved. I mean, if that's not right, you're not being able to be involved. I don't agree with that.
Well,
I don't.
I don't either. I'm a very technical and highly intelligent person who got subjected to an involuntary psychological evaluation.
Well, thinking about
I'd be pissed off, okay, and I'm gonna speak freely. I'd be pissed off too, right? I get it. I get it. Excuse me.
thinking about audit, and this will be my last question. Would you consider, I'm not asking you for an answer right now, that if you were to find any discrepancies in spending or credit card use, any various ways that money could be funneled out of the city coffers, would you call for a forensic audit?
Absolutely.
Now, I've heard that the forensic audit is too expensive, but in many ways, if it were to ever discover, which this city has been stolen from repetitively, millions has gone out the door. I don't understand why they are so against looking at where the money's going. And I would, if that were an option,
It's
I
the
would.
people's money. It's the people that are in this room that pay taxes. It's our money. And we should know where every penny
But the
goes.
cost of the forensic audit should be, it would probably pay for itself if you could find.
Things like that cost, if that's what we have to do to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse.
Exactly.
Then that's what needs to happen. Because if it costs $20,000 and in the end it saves you $100,000, it's the best $20,000 you ever spent.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
And not only the monetary side, but the public trust. I saw a poll where less than 30% of Americans trust their federal government, but 67% of Americans trust their local town type governments. It should be higher than 67%. okay? People should trust what we're neighbors, we live here together. We work here together, we play here together. We worship together, we shop together. We all know each other. I mean, people here has known my family for years. They've known generations of us. So we've got to make it a place where we all just, it works for all of us.
So I'm glad to hear that a forensic audit is on the table. I would really love to see that happen for accountability, if nothing else, to show that everything is operating correctly. I mean, it's not just with the expectation of finding something wrong, but just proving that it's right.
That's right.
So
I kind of like to catch people doing stuff right.
exactly.
More than I did catch them do something
Right, right.
You know, and I think it was Vince Lombardi who said, praise in public and discipline in private, or something similar to that. And I really find it better off if you catch people doing something right, pat them on the back, reward them for it. It really strengthens that behavior. And I think we've got some good people in our city government, as far as employees and stuff goes, that they need to be caught doing some things right, patted on the back, because we do have some good people here. And I know you've had some questions. Who else? Any questions? I mean, SK, got anything you got?
I follow politics all the time. So
I'm surprised you weren't here. You were the first one here, but that's okay.
I had to make sure I showed up, Charles. I had to make sure I showed up.
I mean, I told people I was going to do these, and I mean it.
Yes.
And I mean it. Next time I might not wear a coat and tie. I might just wear some blue jeans and a t-shirt and anybody else. That's okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate you doing this because, you know, I'm an out-of-state resident. I got family and friends live on Butler Street, like neighborhoods over here, right? So I'm connected to the city in that regard. There have been times in the past that I wish that we had quarterly town halls.
Absolutely.
I don't care if we gotta get Westfield Middle School, get that gym.
I'd love that.
And it's just understand the city address, right, about what the hell is going on in the city.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, I'm learning more and more every day, because I'm being fed more information, and I'm getting, I guess it's kind of like a transition. I don't have a good transition staff. They didn't give me a budget for that. So I'm transitioning myself. We love it anyway. But you know, here's the thing. I think open, just having a dialogue with people. I mean, you know, granted, there's 6 people here. I wish there were 60. But guess what? There were 6 people here today. That's 6 more than were here the last one. Right?
Yes.
Huh?
7 or 8 of them.
Yeah, man, look, I can't help. I'm good with finances, though. I'm gonna tell you what, the dollar sign in front of I'm gonna bet, okay?
Well, I applaud you for doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do. I want to hear things and what have you.
Now you know what issues you have.
There's
Got
some.
a bunch of notes right there.
I got 10 good solid bullet points.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so I'm not sure what was said before.
That's fine.
So,
I mean, nothing, I don't think you missed anything too first chapter, for sure.
all right, so you know, going into 2026 very soon.
Mhm.
You'll be sworn in along with Jamie and some of the folks who want to come in there. 2 areas, I know one that's particularly close to you with housing, especially affordable attainable housing. We know that the prices are skyrocketing.
Yes.
It's making it very, very difficult for first-time home buyers to
It is.
get anything,
It is.
right?
It's really hard.
And so, what are your thoughts about what could be done to probably increase affordable attainable housing in the city of Westminster? In that regard, I mean, like
What's
a
the
tiny homes or like duplexes,
So
is that first part?
For example, a few months ago, Holly Douglas, she's a realtor.
Yeah.
They own a piece of property right here behind us that we rezoned from single family, I think it was R25 or R20, probably R25. Because that R25, so when you start talking, you know, zoning stuff, like R1 is 1 acre lots, okay? Then it's by square footage. So if it's R25, it's 25,000 square foot lot, roughly half acre, okay, a little over. Then you got R20, 20,000. So normally everything according to the comprehensive plan, and this is stuff I'm learning and as I go, everything is automatically zoned R25. anything that was just not already built on. So she wanted to build a duplex. Again, we're trying to get stuff more affordable because the cost of building is just outrageous.
Yeah.
You know, and so what she's gonna do is build a duplex. There'll be rentals, but you're able to build basically two houses almost for the price of one.
Right.
Because you still have to take into account, you're putting in 2 kitchens, that's 2 sets of appliances. You're putting in 4 bathrooms, possibly, instead of just 2. So the cost is a little more, but you can eventually rent that a little more affordably in a single family dwelling. You know, if it's 1,500 square feet, you're looking at $300,000 in construction right now. Because everything's about $200 square foot to build, starting out. And so it's a challenge. I know there's some houses some zoning getting ready to change. Off of Eisen Davis Street. There's gonna be 28 houses built there. That helps our town, but that still doesn't alleviate the problem. And it's a nationwide problem, it's just housing shortage. And unfortunately, it gets caught up in the regular, economic cycle of supply and demand. Now, I do think that they're building a good bit around here. There's smaller lots, higher density housing. Unfortunately, we're gonna have more of that in order to build and get out of it. Well, there's no choice.
Yeah.
Because if you're paying $30,000 for an acre, you split 30 by 4 versus 1. And then, it's a little more affordable, for the dirt.
Yes.
It's not a direct answer, didn't want to get roundabout, but it's such a complex problem, there's just no one way to answer that question.
And I guess this is part of economic development. So I think we had just discussed this in the past about how during my lifetime, I've probably seen more commercial real estate available.
Yes.
In the city that I've ever seen in my life, right? I've been seeing so many for lease, for sale signs, popping up all over the place. So I know there's been a comp plan, there's been a master plan, also that's been created in the past, right? Well, one of the things I remember asking at a meeting over a year or so ago to the council, back when they were having a planning retreat meeting, was that, well, what is the identity that we want to have, what's supposed to have economically?
That's a great question. I've asked that same question posed to people myself, because we don't have an identity. We have an identity crisis.
Yeah.
We're not Seneca, we're not Walhalla, we ain't Clayton, we're Westminster. But there's no reason we can't be something like Clayton or even Walhalla with a robust Main Street where we've got, whether it's small, and we're going to have small boutique shops. And again, I'm hearing more stuff now and seeing more information now that I've been elected, and I can't vote on it, but like with what's going on at Target Shopping Center, the traffic studies they've done from northeast Georgia and even coming out of parts of North Carolina coming in here, the increased traffic that we're going to see. Now, more than likely they're going to come up down Windsor Street, they're not going down Main Street. So to me as a town, you talk economic development, we as a town have to message better. We've got to create an environment where you want to be in town. And that starts with cleaning up some of the trash we get in town.
And cleaning up the buildings, so they look horrible.
Absolutely.
Main 123 is horrible.
Putting more teeth in look, I believe in private property rights, 100%. However, I already live in town. I basically already live in an HOA. Okay? When you think of it certain ways. So we've got to utilize the tools at our disposal. If we want to quit talking about cleaning up the town and start cleaning up the town, we're going to have to put teeth in these ordinances. For example, any of these houses are built in vacant commercial buildings. If they fall into disrepair and the city starts their enforcement, all it takes is a for rent sign or a for sale sign, everything stops. Well, I could ask $25 million for a building, I don't get it? No. But do I have to do any repairs now? No. I just let it sit there and rot. So we've got, as a council, and of course it's going to take buy-in from the community because it's going to be painful. If we're able to increase the teeth in these ordinances. Fine people per day, per week, per month, I mean, and really fine. Make them sell these buildings, make them sell these houses, or they're just gonna continue to sit there and rot. Yes.
That, I mean, if you're, say, a disabled senior citizen who's treated somewhat differently, who doesn't have a whole lot of income and his building starts to slide, you're gonna come down on the poor senior citizen like a
No,
ton
he's
of
talking
bricks?
Well, we're talking about all these
Commercial.
vacant buildings.
commercial
Just
properties.
Just commercial property.
Well,
Okay,
even-
you talked about residential
Even,
earlier.
even some of these residential homes, if they're vacant, and they've been vacant for.
Well, you see, I have a neighbor who has a house where this very subject is coming up. You know, the guy who lives across the street from me, he's got, you know, he's caretaker of all that property behind there. And one of his houses is, you know, it's an older house and he ain't got no money to fix it right now, but the city, he told me the city wants him to bulldoze it pretty much, you know, or start fining him because it's a house that's not being used, but it's not. I mean, it's a house that can be repaired, but it's not in the best shape. And, you know, older people can't really, I mean.
Is it willing to sell?
He's a caretaker of the property. That was not really on him. It's a complicated situation across the street from me, but he's probably willing to sell it, but it ain't his to sell. He's the caretaker. He's a trustee of the.
He shouldn't be, well, then if he's the trustee, he's got legal rights to certain things, but, you know, if he's just living on the property, he shouldn't be the one incurring the costs, he should be the owner of the property.
Well, I mean, I would think doing this towards a commercially focused thing would be a better idea than to going after residents.
Well, for example, on my way here, I went down Main Street. Out of the first 9 storefronts, only 2 of them are open for business. 2 out of 9. And it's very sad looking, and it doesn't make it feel welcoming. And I love the city too, and I would love to see it flourish. So however you can make a difference to make that happen, I think everybody would agree it's a good thing.
It may come in the form of doing, you know, waiving fees for businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of having to paying a permit fee of so many thousands of dollars to do the electrical, give them the permit. Let the work be done.
There you go.
Help
Yes.
them with the
Things,
cost.
you know,
Exactly.
things with the leaking gas tanks, or
Yeah.
wanting to put the McDonald's there. And
It's just, you know, there's things that can be done, you can incentivize growth without throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I know. Well,
And-
we've
but
lost
We've not had this mindset in town.
no.
We just hope and pray somebody sells the building and somebody better buys it. Well, at some point, we either have to let downtown just rot down, which one block's pretty close. You know, I mean, talking about
It is.
storefronts.
Oh.
We've got the back Chevrolet, it's falling in, you know,
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
have got it for sale somewhere.
well, yeah, but.
What is it, one?
Yeah.
239.
Conveniently.
And, well, here's the thing, it's got contaminated soil and it's eaten up with asbestos. So well, the city was looking at it to build a motel, they did what's called a phase 1 study. It was gonna cost them more to tear the building down than what it was for the property, and that's without excavating the soil out and replacing the contaminated soil.
Well, can I just slide this in?
It's crazy.
The ordinances so I remember when they came into effect, I was somewhat going to council meetings back then. And, about, you know, either get your business, that building up to snuff or sell it or something. Is that school over there near the wreck, is that not part of this? Why is it untouched?
I don't know.
Selective enforcement.
I don't know.
There is selective enforcement here.
Now, I can tell you this, if y'all, if, and I know Frank can't watch it or look at it, but there is a link to the administrator's report every week. I want you to go through and look what our code enforcement does. Grass.
Vehicle.
We're going for grass in a vehicle instead of a building that if it burns down, it's gonna kill everybody because it's just got all this nasty stuff.
Yeah. And it looks terrible for people coming into town for basketball games, et cetera, at the rec. And then you see this terribly run down old building.
I was the last 5th grade class in that building.
Oh my gosh.
I was the first 6th grade
That's
class
good.
when they had the next one became the middle school. But I remember there, back then, in the 80s, whenever that was, that the top floor was already condemned back then. We weren't allowed to go upstairs.
And you were in it. You were watching the building.
That wouldn't happen
I
today.
thought it was great. We
Talk
didn't even
about
have to go
liability.
upstairs.
I have a building related question,
Yeah.
especially about commercial businesses and whatnot. I've noticed, being that I'm from the industry, there's a lot of lights around town, and like square lights mounted on poles, that are more spotlights than street lights. There's one in front of Eva's, right? There's one in front of the post office, the federal post office. None of these lights are hooked up to meters. Now, a lot of utilities, they'll sell you a street light. You know, you could, like if you got a dark backyard or something and you want to pay the utility to get a street light back there, you can pay the utility. But I'm seeing all these lights and all these very poor businesses, and I'm wondering, you know, how can Eva's afford to pay for that big light shining on her door all day? Now, I go walking around First Baptist Church because, you know, I'm not allowed to go there, so I certainly use the sidewalk in front as much as I possibly can. I've noticed these square lights circle the whole church, and none of them are hooked up to a power meter. Now, I don't know if Westminster First Baptist Church is paying for each individual light, or if the city customers of the utility are paying for these lights because they ain't hooked up to no power meter. Now, there's even a sign, you know, the little electronic sign down yonder in front of the church. Well, it's off to the side a little bit. But that flashing sign that shows all the Christmas programs that I'm not allowed to go to, that sign is also not hooked up to a meter. And it just, I don't see how the utility can you find out what they're paying? Because it just seems kind of weird to me that we got these high electrical bills, but I look around and all these extra lights are shining on buildings that particular people own.
Well,
And,
what about the single strand of lights that goes across the top of all the buildings downtown that some work, some don't, but who's paying for that?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I'm fine paying for Christmas decorations or whatnot, even,
Right.
you know, if I don't like Santa Claus, it's fine if, you know, the kids want to have the Christmas lights, that's all great. But, lights to light up business that I gotta pay for, I'm not exactly into. And, you know, I'm definitely not into paying for church lights where I'm not even allowed to go. You know, I was baptized at College Park Baptist Church in Florence, South Carolina, in case any of y'all are interested. I am.
You are invited to come to us over there, Westminster Baptist.
Yes, I'm a bit of a handful. You know, I'll sit in the back pew. You know.
With us.
It's probably almost full, so hurry.
So yeah, I'm that Baptist. But you know, I'm a Baptist, but I can't go to the Baptist church here in Westminster. It's kind of,
Well, you've been invited.
That is
Yeah.
a Baptist church.
and I appreciate it.
And I agreed at that front step.
And I have actually been in there a couple times. I don't know if any of y'all remember. I went in there a few times. you know, I've been a little hot under the collar ever since this meter tampering thing, where, you know, I've taken oaths in life, right? And I love my country. I love my country. And, you know, I want to build. Don't want to destroy. Destroying is bad.
Well, another thing I'd like to throw out is beautification of the city is a great opportunity for volunteers.
Absolutely.
And I would volunteer. I actually volunteered to go and power wash with my gas power washer, any sidewalk, any curb anybody wanted at one time.
200 Mountain View Street,
I'll come and do
my
it.
whole house.
Listen, I did a whole house on Retreat Street for an elderly couple that couldn't do it. And I went over there and did the sidewalk, the driveway and everything. I don't want any money for it. I just would like, people like me are willing to go and paint, clean, wash windows, sweep, power wash. I mean, that would go a long way.
All the stuff I don't like.
Yeah.
Help her start a committee.
Tell her number then.
He's got my number.
So now you're looking at possibly maybe, I guess like some of the Walhalla tree beautification committee to kind of take up those tasks, right, for that part.
I guess they're gonna create some sort of committee on it.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
And then the other part is, the Holy Economic Alliance. So they're not, in my opinion, they're not operating business as usual, period. They're focused obviously more industrial based, right? And so, Westminster, we have its own autonomy. We really need to be relying on ourselves to recruit. Like you mentioned,
We don't have a choice.
Right.
Not to knock the current chamber, the way they brought it together. Nobody's gonna advocate for you like you. Okay, and that goes to you as an individual, even us as a town. Nobody's gonna advocate for Westminster greater than Westminster will advocate for itself. And I do think we as a town need to be more aggressive in seeking people to come here.
Mm-hmm.
We all know people. We all have ideas of what we'd like to see in town. But unless we all get together and talk about our ideas, we're not gonna have any of it. I mean, so as homework, think about some stuff you'd like to see in town. I mean, really. We can dream
Clean
we
it.
can do it. Well, that's the thing though. We gotta have a vision. We don't have a vision of any kind.
Clean it, paint it.
Well, I mean, we don't. We don't have a direction.
I understand.
Like I said before, yeah, it's like,
No
I can
identity.
explain to somebody anywhere else about why they should come here, right?
Mhm.
And, I think about the cycle in terms of what do we produce here? What do we process here? What do we distribute? What is the consumption like? What do people consume and buy? How do we do with our waste? Those kind of aspects. And if I don't, someone who is a lifer in this area, don't really know what our identity is, to be able to sell to people that this is why you need to come, right? Despite some of the things that you mentioned, Captain, about.
Yeah.
I see the commercial buildings for sale, at least more than I've ever seen before. I'm seeing increased traffic because, not necessarily because of what we're doing here, it's because what's happening around us is coming our direction, right?
And there's things we're not doing, and we've got to be doing some things. We've got to get people to look at Westminster.
Yeah.
Just look at it. I know.
Is there, why is there no synergy with Norfolk Southern? We got a railroad running right through.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know when the train comes.
Yeah,
If the train bothers you, don't move to Westminster. But, I would think, we got Bigfoot or whatever, got apples, but, the train is always here.
And they don't maintain their
Florence, South Carolina.
overpasses.
They
look
they're
horrible.
train centric, they promoted it and that's kind of their identity, their thing. But just saying, we've got a train that comes through here all the time. I don't know if Norfolk Southern want to drop an old engine off for the kids to climb on or something, but you know what I'm saying? Just
That's a good point.
That's a very good point. Yes.
some box cars or something. You can paint box cars, right? Have art projects on box cars, something.
Yeah.
You know, you get enough box cars to spell Westminster, get old junk piece of track off to the side there, sit them up there, whatever, you know, it's something.
That's a very good point right there. That would be great.
That's like, for example, also like, Law has Oktoberfest because of the music with the German heritage. Well, I would imagine the city of Westminster, I guess British or English heritage, have some type of similar,
Yeah, I mean, we're named after Westminster Presbyterian Church, which was named after Westminster Abbey.
Yeah.
So that.
So really,
And the guy we're gonna put a statue up to, never stepped foot in Westminster.
it boils down to, communication. It all comes
It
down to
does, and, I
communication.
just, I feel that just being able to sit down and say, oh, y'all come see me,
And
that's
just,
important, and,
I think this has been very worthwhile.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you.
y'all,
Appreciate it.
y'all didn't run me out of here yet.
Yeah, well, I think it's been a very positive.
Somebody hit me with a table.
Well, I see this. Wow.
She had to come.
Well, I was advertising like it was gonna be a wrestling match and nobody showed up. I tried.
I was ready for it.
And communications, so, we need to communicate, and that way the next time we'll have more people.
We got the inaugural group.
Yeah.
There you go. You ought to take all our names and phone numbers and addresses down,
I think.
so we can all stay in touch, because it sounds like everybody's got similar
You can give whatever information
motivations
you want to give or not give.
to make it a better place.
Oh, well, everybody knows where Franklin is.
Anyway, Mr. Morgan, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Yes, very great. It was a great meeting. Great meeting. Thank you so much.
My talking's going on, but I've been fighting this, I don't know,